most favorite shows, Sisters of Leisure, with Michelle and Tracy. But today, hosting the show by herself is none other than my little sister, Michelle. Take it away, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Are we still in Kwanzaa? I have no idea what's happening with the holidays. It's over with. I'm so glad that part of the year is done. Welcome to a new year, 2024. I am Michelle, the other half of Sisters in Leisure, and we are living every day and seeking and understanding real events. Today, you know what? We are having a special guest. She is popping off the year. Her name is Myesha Watts, and we are going to get into it. We're going to talk about what's happening out in the world. We're going to talk about, our path, our journey, how we come to where we are right now. Welcome to Sisters of Leisure, Myesha. How you doing today?
I'm great.
That
How are
is
you?
good. I am well. I am well. Thank you for coming and talking to me today. So, Maisha, you know what? We like I just finished saying, we wrapping up the year. The year is done. We just started a new year. It's 2024, and a lot's going on. A lot is happening in the world. We just finished talking about aliens. Some people believe, some people don't. My brother broke it down so eloquently. But I have a question for you. First off, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into all that.
My name is Myesha Watts. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I taught for like roughly 9 years. Um, then I moved to Rome and got into like the restaurant industry, you know.
Little things like that.
Yeah.
Little things. I see you representing Green Bay. Are you not from Green Bay?
I am not. I am not. I was a little girl when Brett Favre was here when I met him,
Uh huh.
and just have been a fan ever since.
Okay. So that's why you represent Green. Because I was wondering, I was just like, okay, Green Bay. I guess that's where you're from. Okay, so like I was saying, I mean, Aisha, we're entering a new year, and I was saying earlier today, it was a thing a couple of weeks ago that there was aliens spotted at the mall in Miami, and you were like, what? There's aliens spotted in Miami. So, real quick question: do you believe in aliens? Do you believe that we have aliens?
I don't not believe it. I don't think people just out there spotting them at the mall or nothing like that. But I do I do think that I don't know, I just find it hard to believe that we are the only people just like walking the planet. And then when you think of like the galaxies and all of that stuff, like I can't say that I don't think there's other beings that could be like beyond us.
Yeah. I believe that. I believe it would be, very small of us to think that we're the only ones to roam the earth. Even though my brother, like I said, said it so eloquently that yeah, you are, but to believe that there is just us walking around, it kind of gives me like, okay, well, that's boring in a way, because there's so many, it's so broad, it's so mass, it's so
Hmm.
expensive that, if we are not, I would not be surprised. And so I want to go on and ask you, like spiritually, do you have a spiritual practice? I know you are you live off the grid. You're in a field of just massive nature. Do you have a spiritual guidance, a spiritual way?
Yeah, I do. So like I grew up in the church and literally like from birth, and I grew up singing in the choir, and like I was never really big on praying,
Mm-hmm.
but I watched like my family members pray all the time. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I got married and into my own domain that I was just like, oh man, like these people ain't just praying for me no more. I gotta pray for myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how to get into doing that because like I don't it was just never my thing. It's just like talking in front of people, like singing in front of people. I just felt like, oh man, this is weird. But then finally came to terms that like I remember being a kid, this man told me when you pray, you need to talk to God like you talking to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like one, he was very different in my church. And it was probably one of my only years in vacation Bible school that I can really remember anything. But like he even broke down like the Lord's Prayer, like each line of what it represented. So make sure when you pray, this is the kind of stuff that you say. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just always kind of stuck with me. And
Yeah.
so just like every day, I always ask God for like traveling graces, and I always ask for him to like dispatch my angels all around me, because I was told that, God gave us our own angels, and if we don't like dispatch them, they not like looking out for us and protecting us. And again, I don't know how true it is, but it was just something that I learned as a kid. So I always make it a point to say that every day, and to just ask for him to, protect me and my husband throughout our journey, throughout the day, from danger seen and unseen, and to like protect my land, my animals, my home when I'm not around and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like that's usually what I say on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a good spirit. Because matter of fact, today I was cleaning up, and and I use a certain Florida water to kind of wipe everything down or whatever, freshen everything up. And my son was like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I was just like, I'm praying over the house, cleaning it, and getting clearing the air." And he was just like, "Oh," he thought it was strange. But I'm like, "You better pray over your house. Who else is gonna pray over your house?"
Yeah. My mom and them told me that. Um, like I never understood the whole people walking around with the sage,
Uh
and
huh.
like how people like burn sage and cedar and all of that. I just never got it. It was not my thing. And like
Mm-hmm.
I tried it, but then I said, I don't see myself doing this every day. I won't do it every day. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I need to find something that I can say for myself to make sure that I'm
Mm-hmm.
covered on my end, because that's not enough. And like when things get hard, like maybe at work and stuff like that, my mom would be like, girl, you need to take your oil and you need to just pray over that building. And
Yeah.
like, I don't care if you got to go from one door to the next door, but you need to make
Yeah.
sure that you pray over this building, pray over your coworkers, pray over all of that,
Yeah.
because Satan is out to get you. So regardless to anything that happens, you need to just pray over all of it.
Yeah, yeah. We have to. We That's the only way. Like it if we cannot expect anybody else to do it for us. I tell my kids all the time, no one's gonna do it for you. You gotta do it for yourself. If you can't figure it out and do it for yourself, I can't go to this Myesha and say, Myesha, can you pray that everything is good for me and that my family is safe and secure? And no, that's gonna come out of your
Right.
mouth. That's gonna happen for you. So like we talked on the phone, we've been going back and forth for a few days now. And so we were able to have a conversation, which I would just love so much, about the unseen,
Mm-hmm.
about a time in your life where you have felt like, what, this is God. What, there's no doubt that this event was divine for you, for your eyes to see and for you to believe. So can you give us quickly tell us a story about where you had no doubt that it was divine for you, intervention, God, however you want to put it.
Okay. So I had already told you one, but I actually got like another one too. So
Okay.
like the first one, when I was a kid, me and my aunt shared a room, and I was in the bed and I was laying down, and the room next to mine was like my cousin's room and my brother's room. We called it the boys' room because it was so many of them. It was like 3 or 4 of them in one room. And like out of nowhere, I just saw something kind of like walk through. It almost looked like it was glowing. And my cousin came through right behind and was like, "Hey, you saw that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did. Did you?" And he was just like, "Yeah." And I remember getting up, and I was little, but it was just something that always stuck with me. I remember getting up and we walked behind it all the way through the living room, through my grandmother's room. And then we got to the kitchen and it was like gone. But we were scared to go that same way. So we turned around and went back the way we came. And he took me back to my room and he went to his. And the next morning we told my grandmama, and she was like, "Oh, that's just Aunt so and so. She just coming through, checking on everybody. She do that every night." And I was like, "What?" And just to me, I thought it was really weird, but like it was it wasn't something we could explain. And like,
Yeah.
had I been the only person that saw it, I probably would have just brushed it off, went back to sleep, and thought I was crazy. But
Yeah.
like, my cousin is like 10 years older than me. So he was like a teenager, and he was
Yeah.
seeing the same thing that I was seeing. And I was just kind of like, oh man, that's weird. And like, also like growing up in church, like I always used to hear people like speaking in tongues, and I would see them, like start praise dancing. And I would just be like, you think people are faking it sometimes, and you just don't actually
Mm-hmm.
know. And one day we had like a youth explosion, and this lady had come probably about an hour, and I had heard good things about her, and we had a great night. I feel like, all like the teens opened up and talked about it, and it wasn't like any adults around. They were there, but they weren't with us. They were like in the back of the church. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the service and the explosion, she asked like our pastor and the first lady, hey, can I pray over a couple of people? And they was just like, yeah, that's fine. And so they was like, first off, we're gonna start with the girl in the gray shirt. And I'm looking around like, oh, okay, who the girl in the gray shirt? And it was me. It was me. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I am going crazy. I am not gonna be able to get up here. I don't know this lady. No, I don't want her to be touching on me and praying on me and stuff because I don't know her. And I was real skeptical because my mama always said, I don't like just anybody laying hands on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got up there and like she started speaking my life like I had never heard ever. And I was panicking. Like internally, I was like, how she know this? What is going on? Like I didn't tell her about none of this today. So how does she know that this is what I'm going through and this is what I'm dealing with? And like I really don't even I remember the first half of the stuff that she said to me. And then
Mm-hmm.
the next thing I remember, I was opening my eyes and I was sitting on the pew. And
Okay,
my
so
first
you
lady,
passed out.
well, no, I didn't pass. Well, I don't know. I can't say I did or I didn't because nobody ever talked to me about it. I just remember I was up there and I started crying. I had my hands up. And then when I remember opening my eyes again, I was sitting on the pew and my first lady was sitting behind me, rubbing my back. Like, that's what I remember. And at that point, she was praying for somebody else at the front of the church. And I was just like, I don't even know what happened. But like, I just remember like she was telling me my entire life without me even knowing it. And I was just kind of like, oh man, how does she know this is happening to me? Like, I ain't talked about this with nobody. What's going on? And that was like my first real encounter where I was just like, okay, so God definitely be sending prophets down here to tell us stuff and be talking to us. And I don't know, I was caught off guard. And I feel like at that time, I might have been like 18 or 19. I was just becoming an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I was in my first year of college. I had just come back from my first year of college when that happened.
Uh-huh.
And I was scared. I was scared. I was in church every Sunday after that, just like praying. I was like, "Ooh, Lord!" I was just like, "I don't know." I was just like, "If she know this, then anybody might know this. Help me!" I was genuinely scared because I just couldn't figure it out. I'm like, "This lady don't know me,
Yeah,
but she knew me."
she knew you.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep. That happens to a lot of people. That happens to a lot of people. I've had that happen to me where someone just come to me and just had a conversation. I'm like, huh? Like that's not something I've. It can happen at work, where
Hmm.
you trying to figure out like where do you come from? Why are you saying this to me? So so what role do you think that being your mindfulness, you know, helps you with your spiritual journey? Like how are you guided through? Like what role does your mindset is playing on your spiritual journey right now?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Like what like okay, so do you have you have a spiritual uh thought process? So like has it changed since 2020? Like how has your spiritual journey gone? How is it taking you right now? Like where are you sitting in it?
Um, I don't know. I feel like I've always had like a really close connection with God. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's always talked to me like through my dreams. Like when I was a
Mhm.
kid, I always had very vivid dreams. And my grandmother used to always be like, hey, if she started telling you about her dreams, make sure you listening to what she's saying.
Mhm.
And she used to have them all the time.
Mhm.
And my brothers and my cousins, they all used to, tell me I was crazy. And they used to be like,
Mhm.
no, that's not what's happening. But like, I used to have dreams when I was younger of things. And then like, I'd be like, so and so pregnant. And my family would be like, girl, hush. And then it'll be like a month later and they'll be pregnant. And I'd be like, told you. Or it would just be stuff like that. Like I used to tell people all the time, like, hey, somebody in our family about to die in the next like couple of weeks. And they would be like, stop it. Stop saying stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then within like a week or two, somebody will be done passed away. And they'll be like, Lord have mercy, she dreamt this and didn't even tell nobody. And I'll be like, I did. You just didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
And like that was me as a kid. And so like me and my grandmother, we didn't have a super close connection. And I think it's because like we both had like the same attitude. So we was always like butting heads.
Mhm.
And so I just remember one day she told me, you know what? When you have your dreams, you interpret them for yourself. Don't tell nobody no more because people have you feeling like what your dreams aren't true. And so she was like, everybody don't have to see it as long as you see it. And
Yeah.
so like in my adult life, I would have like dreams, crazy dreams. And instead of just like coming out and saying, hey guys, this is my dream, this is what happened,
Mhm.
I just didn't. And I would just watch and observe. And
Yeah.
like, even like my aunt, I would try to tell her, like, hey, had one of them crazy dreams last night. I ain't gonna go into no detail, but you know, just be watching out for the house, make sure you driving
Yeah.
right. Keep your
Yeah.
seatbelt, all that kind of stuff on. And she would just be like, okay. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's as simple as I'm gonna keep it. But I just feel like in my life, I still have that same connection that I had as a child. I still wake up and I have crazy dreams and I tell my husband and he be like, ooh, what? I
Is it you think it's your intuition? Could it be your
don't
intuition?
I don't know.
You
Maybe.
because okay, so and I'm so glad we're having this conversation because we are, living every day and seeking and understanding real events. And so like when it comes to conversations like that, nothing is cookie cutter, first off, and this is a safe, place so we can have this conversation. And so, I believe that there's no such thing as a coincidence, and so
I agree.
and we need to have conversations like this to start having people talk about what's happened to them and their dreams and the unseen on things, because we always talk about what we see, but the unseen is just as powerful. It's just as relevant,
Mm-hmm.
the unseen as a scene. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's and so like like when you say your grandma said, don't be telling people that, don't be talking about that. Why not? Why? I wonder why do you think that this conversation is something that we really shouldn't be having, or people shouldn't have, or people tell you don't say that?
I think for my grandmother, it was because as a child, I had them so often. Like my dreams when I go to sleep at night are so detailed that when I tell them, it take me like 10 to 15 minutes. My husband will tell you he don't remember nothing he dreamt about last night, and he
Yeah.
never do. But
Yeah.
like I can remember multiple dreams from every night. And
Yeah.
so when they are like the ones that shake me and I
Mm-hmm.
wake up and my grandma will be like, now there might be God waking you up, but there might
Mm-hmm.
be Satan trying to get you too. So make sure that you know what you're dealing with. And so
Yeah.
she just got to the point where she was just like, my dreams were too much. So just stop telling people until you
Mm.
know. Until you know, stop saying stuff. Like because they're not easy to interpret. And so she used to just
Mm-hmm.
always just be on my case. And so I always went to her with them.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I didn't because I didn't really talk to her. Like I said, we would butt heads and I would tell her stuff and she would just brush me off. And I would be like, you know what? Whatever. You one of them people too then. Like you
Yeah.
don't even want to listen to it. And so
Yeah.
I just kind of got to a place where, like here now in my life, if I have a dream, I talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll call my aunt and I'll be like, hey, this is what I had a dream about. And I might not be able to go into like full details of everything, but I do
Yeah.
tell her, hey, look, I had a dream about this. So don't be surprised if so and so happened. Like I
Hmm.
got into a car accident a couple days ago, and
Okay.
my aunt was just like, I just dreamed about that.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, it would have been great if you would have told me.
Yeah.
That would have maybe made me think and be a little bit more cautious out there. If you had a dream that I had a car accident, it don't necessarily mean that was going to happen, but
Happen. Yeah.
I would have definitely been a little bit more aware. And like
Yeah.
something that they always said to me, and I never like really got it, and I still don't, was run your dreams backwards. And so it was just like when you see somebody die in the dream, it probably
Hmm.
means somebody having a kid.
Hmm.
And so like if somebody's pregnant, that's when you should be aware of like death.
Hmm.
So my grandmother always told me that, and I thought it was weird, but she was never lying to me. Every time I would have like a dream of somebody giving birth, I would be like, oh man, so and so
Hmm.
just died. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
dang. And so it always happened that way. And like people hear it and they think, oh man, that's weird. You don't know what you're talking about. How you know? Like, but I don't know. It's always been that way in my life.
Yeah.
And I would have never understood it if my grandma didn't try to explain it to me the best that she could. But
Yeah.
now when I have dreams, I just talk about it. Like she
Yeah.
been gone almost 5 years, and I'm like, I gotta talk about it. Sorry, grandma.
Yeah. Like I mean, because those things like this, it happens. It happens all the time. I've had situations where I'm having a conversation, and then next thing you know, 30 minutes later, I'm having the same conversation or close to, and someone say the exact same thing that I was just talking to someone else about. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's like double within 30 minutes. Like that has to have some type of significance. That has to, like those synchronicities that always seem to, occur.
Mm-hmm.
So like, listen, I start talking about it. Like we have to understand that um there's just power in talking about what is not the norm, the not so, let's see, common things to talk about. I feel it's important, and we have to, start talking about things that are maybe not so that we don't hear about on a daily basis. So can you go ahead and share with us a little bit about your um a little bit about a dream that you may have had that you know that you can I'm trying to come up with something without being too all in your business or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So do you believe in a ritual? Do you believe in rituals?
I don't. Not for me.
No. Okay. But okay, I have a question. Now, as a person that's a Christian inside of the church, I saw rituals all the time. Did you?
Like what? Like what kind of rituals did you see on a
Rituals all the
regular?
time. The drinking of the blood and the Holy Ghost. And,
Like communion.
communion, that's a ritual.
Yeah. Well, I saw it. I saw it. Um, I took it when I was a kid. Every
Yeah.
first Sunday,
Every first
they
Sunday,
made
that's a ritual.
they had us come in white, and everybody took it. But somewhere down the line, I stopped taking it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this was a grandmama thing. She was
Mm-hmm.
just like, she's like, this is supposed to be you like cleansing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would be like, if you ain't got your mind right, don't eat that cracker and don't drink that juice. And I would be like, okay, all right. And so
Yeah.
as an adult, I wasn't even going to church no more because I stopped going probably around like 16, 17. And I
Why?
would only, and Because I went so much as a child. They made me go so much that I was just like, "Ooh, y'all doing too much for me." And when I turned 16, they wasn't like forcing me to go to church every Sunday. I went every third Sunday because I had to sing in the choir, and I was the vice president of the youth choir. So like I had to be there.
Yeah.
Then when I went to college, by the time I got back from college, I wasn't going to church every Sunday. I was going if somebody said, "Hey, so and so wants you to come, will you sing a song today?" And that's when I started going. And I was more of just I read my own Bible. I felt like the church was in me. I didn't have to go to the church that and like I don't know. For a minute I felt like I outgrew my church. And so I was looking for another church. And before I got married and moved here, I had found the church that I knew I was gonna join and be a member of.
Which church was that?
I don't even remember the name of it now.
Lord.
It's been like 4-5 years. But it was a church that I passed every Sunday of my life to get to church.
Yeah.
And one day I was at my brother's job, and this guy that always worked with him was like, "Hey, you should come and check out my church." And it just so happened to be my coworker at the time, her church. And so I went, and I just remember like the music was what I wanted. Like the way that she would preach was everything. And I was just like, "Oh my God, I love this church."
Yeah.
And then I remember going back like twice. And after I went, their youth pastor had asked me if I would come in on Fridays and work with the youth. And I was just like, "Yeah, I will." And then I met my husband, and I moved away within 6 months of meeting him. And I didn't go back. But every time I go down there, I pass that church and I look and I be like, "Oh, I wonder how they doing in there. Wonder if the same people still in there." Cause it's been so long. But it was a wonderful church. But I have not been able to find that up here anywhere. Because when I go to church, I'm looking for somebody that when they preach, like it actually like catches my attention.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the church I grew up in, like I outgrew that. It was just yelling and screaming, hooping and hollering. And I was just like, nah, that's not really my domain.
Yeah.
And so I don't
You know,
know.
we all grow spiritually, and and so this is not, this conversation is just something I've been wanting to have with someone on Sisters of Leisure, because we are on a it's a new time, it's a new day and age, and so we are growing, things are changing, everything is just, you getting all this information, and all everyone is guided differently. I really do feel like we're no longer cookie cutter. Things are definitely changing, things are moving, people are finding spirit in different ways, and so it's not a one size fit all. So I just wanted to, thank you for coming on, Sisters of Leisure, for being able to have this conversation. It's awkward. It's trying to come and form into its own thing. So I love this. I love you talking about your grandmother and, your ancestor. I'm sure she is proud of you and who you are today as a person, as a young lady. If you can tell everyone, our guests, the people that are watching, how to follow you on social media.
So on Facebook, my name is Myesha Queen B Watts. And on Instagram, I'm not even sure because I really don't get on there that much. I think it's just Myesha.Price.
Price.
That's my maiden name, so I had to keep one of them in my maiden name.
Okay, so Myesha.Price6. And your Facebook is what else again?
Myesha Queen B Watts.
Okay. And listen, guys, Sisters of Leisure, there's some changes going on. We're gonna get and find our way, our flow. Go on our Instagram page, follow Sisters of Leisure, Follow us on YouTube, Sisters of Leisure. Like I said, Facebook is Sisters of Leisure, Instagram Sisters of Leisure, and YouTube Sisters of Leisure. And you guys, thank you. We miss Tracy. We'll, you never know, we might see her again pop up here, but go check us out. Once again, Myesha Watts, I appreciate you for coming and having this conversation with me about spirituality,
Anytime.
seeing things, and people can check you out on your social media also. And I appreciate you. It's my little bell to let everybody know to allow. Thank you to all my ancestors for guiding me through this interview today, and I appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.